So who's saying this? Or are you guys saying white privilege? So you're trying to say like if you're white, you're privileged, like you just happen to have a silver spoon or something in your mouth or whatever, however you say that. If you're white, you're just all of a sudden born into luxury and the lap of what lavishness and all that. Are you guys serious? Anybody listening to that quirky ass shit right there? And their parents should be appalled and highly offended by those comments right there, because actually what it is in a white society or in a real world anyways, the normal amount of white privileged people have privileges for their children or for other people around them or their self, usually from somebody. It takes at least somebody in their household to have been the worker, somebody who um, has to work and earn all those privileges. So you're talking about having a house instead of like an apartment, or what kind of car you're in or whatever like that. You know, I don't drive a BMW. Um, I had a couple of different fancy cars, but everything that I had because, or that would have helped me to have been propelled to have had something nicer, like my El Camino or my classic Chevys that I had, anything like that, was because my father worked very hard to provide for his family. He's not a rich person. He came from not a wealthy family at all. His father actually came from Oklahoma and his mom came from Arkansas, but his father came from Oklahoma to California during the Dust Bowl. So um, they were not by any means privileged people living in camps and uh, having to live off of whatever you could maybe find off the land sometimes, and that's it. It's just cold like that. You don't have Those guys didn't have somebody to go to. They only had themselves and what their little pockets of families could do. At a time where a lot of white people, these people you want to call white privileged or whatever, were dying. So that's another mock in people's face. Um, it's like them trying to hold people white any because if you're white or something accountable for slavery, when actually you should only hold people accountable. I don't even know if you should really even hold them accountable for owning slaves, but only like 3% of Americans even owned a slave. And then I would say um, change the bigotry, you know. So then you had other people that you would have a problem with that I would consider a problem maybe in society, and get them to calm down would be people mad over it, disgruntled over the Civil War, which they also tried to say was over slavery, which it wasn't. The South had already done their own Emancipation Proclamation before President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in the North. I don't know if most people realize that or not, but they did. They actually, the whole country made a decision that they were going to um, end slavery well before the Civil War even began. Both sides weren't even divided at the time. They were still thinking as a whole country, and all decided that they were going to abolish slavery at least 20 years before the Civil War. I mean, like a long period of time led up to the Civil War and the South being oppressed by, you hear, the carpetbaggers and other stuff like that. Where so they're making it basically hard for um, basically on our society. I don't know that they necessarily make it that hard on me, except they offend me by saying that, because I don't have any privilege just because like I'm white. I'm not rich. I didn't um wasn't born into wealth, you know. So if I obtain wealth, it's because I would have had to have done something, or my relative or somebody like that, um, maybe could possibly um, do something good and become wealthy, very wealthy overnight. But I don't think even the most wealthiest people get wealthy and stay, uh, you know, remain wealthy and on top without working at it, without being able to get up in the morning and go, shake themselves off, and when they leave their where they're sleeping or whatever, and they hit the door, you know, they're playing ball or whatever. They're not privileged people like these guys are saying. These people, me and anybody else would be wealthy though if we all um had it had like it fall into our lap or whatever like that. You say that somehow, but that is not the case scenario with every person. And privilege isn't a white or black thing or anything like that in particular. So all people in general should be offended that they are saying that about white people, because it's not about white people or black people. It's about people's parents that have a job or whatever, um, and earn these privileges. They're privileges. It's a privilege. It's not like a right or something like that. If you take my opinion, I think everybody um, that's an American that was born here should ought to have the right to get a piece of property. Depending on where that property is, but we can't like negotiate for good pieces of property. We have to basically, in my opinion, I think that Americans should all oblige themselves. Um, but there is no such thing as white privilege. Um, Whoever is rich and wealthy, good for them, you know. But that's more of a right. I think they have a right to um, money or whatever, or things they can do that would make them seem more privileged. But you're attacking the word privilege and privileged people. Privilege takes earning and working towards. You can't just get a privilege. I can't just go and ask the DMV if I can have a driver's license. Hey, oh, I had a driver's license when I went and exchanged mine for a new one, right? But if I don't have a driver's license, I don't have the right to go and just get that, and the right to just drive without insurance for my car. Well, where you're putting somebody else at risk, it's a privilege you have to pay for somehow. You have to earn the right. You have to earn the right. So that's what privilege is all about. So I just think you guys are some real ignorant sons of bitches. You guys are so stupid. Really, white privilege. Um, Man, that just it irks me so much, because I know of the labor that people put in when they have a job, and I don't know that they would not work if they had the choice of either stay at home or go to work, that they would trade in their job for it. I don't think that most people are lazy like that. I think that they appreciate getting up and having a place to go and something to do and other people to work with and stuff like that. But um, there is no such thing as white privilege. That is just absolute bullshit, mockery of human beings, of our existence altogether, and people as individually, privately, in your own home, whatever color you will happen to be, taking care of what you need to take care of in your own little nest place area. Why are people in society dictating to people like this and not basically getting everybody to the point where we all have all those privileges because we all earned them. However, we have to get to it to all have more privileges. I think that we all need to get to that point and have better examples, because obviously we got people that are like, do as I say, not as I do type of slime bags. So I really wanted to curse. I really did. I wanted to say a couple of swear words, but talking through this, I seen it wasn't completely necessary. So um, I don't know. I just really want to tell somebody to go stick it, really, for real. Go shove it up your ass. Go take white privilege and shove it up your ass.